Yes, and here we are presenting how we do incident analysis and how our forensics works more efficient if any attack or defacements or anything happens. Particularly in terms of incidents and any data breaches, this is a very critical portion. It should be performed. Here, the first scenario comes. Okay, something happened on our network. How you will identify it, report it, and analyze it, and patch it. That is happens over the organizations which are using cyber infra. This is a normal practice, and teams are available in current scenario postures. In our organizations like governments, we have incident response teams. Recently, every such organization is prepared for every building or any government organization in our today's world of ministries. All ministries have SATs to handle these type of such incidents. Apart from that, we have certain and other organizations who are supporting these type of incidents. And in normal scenario of preparing organization for capability models of forensics and incident analysis and incident handling processes. How you do? That is the thing. If hack happens, what to be performed? The steps and systematic approach is required. That approach I am telling here. Okay, before going to what is exactly incident is. There are so many events happening day to day in the life of any software application programs or operating systems or any of the software piece. That is called usually event. Consider you have a system that is crashed due to performance issue. Is it a system event or not? That needs to be decided. If it is a system event, that is fine. If it is adverse event or attacked by another person, how you to handle that? You have to ensure there is an adverse event happened and need to be reported. This is the actual incident. Okay, here is the definition. Computer incident response is a violation or imminent threat of violation of a computer security policies, acceptable use policies, or standard security practices. What it exactly saying is, before practicing these incident processes or forensic processes, you should have a strong policies and frameworks and required devices in place where you can perform these incidents analysis as well as identifying these incidents. Without identifying incidents, there is no process of identifying and analyzing the incidents. So you need a setup to identify them, detect them, and then the team of responses required. Here, the main definition is adversary events are considered as incidents. In terms of violation of policies, in terms of technology policies violation, and standard security process violations also. Okay, there are list of adverse events which are noted, which is very limited. There are so many events more than this. The best part in happening on our networks and hacking or intrusion to the buildings or any of the systems which are hosted, and denial of services attacks. If you are giving a public services, there are so many denial of service attacks happening day-to-day basis. And unauthorized access or modification of data or network system services or programs. How to identify these things? If you have a host-based solution, then only it is very easily identifiable, or the people or the processes has to identify there is a change in their systems, then it will be reported as an incident. Violation of organization policies, processes, and guidelines. Here, this scenario is completely different. The process user came or new person came, he suddenly got a privileges of admins and all, he is trying to attack all other machines. This is the organizational policy violations. Violation of legal statutes and regulations. In our organizations of government and private bodies, they has to import certain factors like to use IT Acts policy as per the nations and other act. Other also framed different acts for each and every processes. They who has to give other and other console. CDAC is providing other based authentication mechanisms for identifying and signing of data. For this type of things, we need to get a legal status before going it. If anyone tries to abuse it, it causes a violation of legal statutes. And loss of theft of equipment. In today's world, everything is on hard drives or any other mechanism to store the data or cloud servers. If anyone tries to take physically also you have to consider. If anyone steal the information in the hard disk, that is very critical. You have to revert it back. You have to get it back. That is also an incident. Social engineering attacks. The social engineering activities are increasing more and more in today's world. Why? Because everyone publishing data in Twitter or Facebook or so many platforms like Snapchats also. When we are publishing data, attackers also publishes data. If anyone clicks phishing or spam happens, you have to be careful while clicking or any principles you have to get. If something happen, you have to report also. If you leak any your account information like leaking of credentials of email account, you have to report it, and also you have to take the process what to be implemented at that time. Advanced persistent threat attacks. This is a very advanced level attacks happening on organization, especially critical sectors of India. You have to say transport divisions, nuclear power plants like that. You have to ensure all these type of networks are secured enough, not prone to advanced APTs. Ransomware infections. This is very happening much in terms of emails. If somebody sends an email, what to do with spam mails? You have to be very clear that the link provided to you and received by you is not a spam, or you have to ensure it the link that is came behind it should be a valid domain. If you click directly, it may cause some trouble to your system. If you are running with administration privileges in your local machine, that is more worse. It may cause the entire damaging of your entire PC also. Malwares and viruses. If you are in organizational networks, somebody may try to attack your local machines, like insider threats also possible. Data exfiltrations. Data exfiltrations occurs when you have a critical data or SQL injections vulnerabilities over your network. You have to ensure that all attack surfaces should be fixed and try to minimize as much as less possible attack surfaces for this. Our topic is forensics. Here we have to understand why we need to do incident analysis and incident responses. What is exactly incident response is, you are doing the analysis in the live event as possibly. The event is occurred and somebody reported it. You are fixing that issue to reduce the attack on our network, as well as you are reducing the damage to our networks or our organizational infrastructure. Here forensics is the attack is happened and you are reconstructing the entire cycle of events like cyber chain kill. You are preparing what exactly attacker prepared steps to perform this attack on the systems. Here you are reconstructing every event by event. The attacker came and at this point he performed a different type of activity. After that, what he done? The series of events forensic analyst prepares and give you report. This is the main goal. In incident response time, you have very less time because your business is at stake. You have to take action to fix the issues. In forensic, everything is kept aside and you are analyzing a static analysis, if possible live analysis. Live analysis is in terms of if you got a system which is running currently, you can get a memory dump and you will analyze the data. this can be done in live analysis also. Here, both forensics and incident responses are try to perform what type of methodology implemented by attacker and how to patch your systems to secure, and future needs of our systems will be well tested. Okay, here is the incident happen, what to be performed. Okay, in normal scenarios nowadays, you have a capacity to search Google and all these type of solutions provide informations. This is one of the website hosting this type of data. If any site hack happened, attackers try to report here to get the fame. So what they do, they attack a website, deface a website, and put the information here stating that I got defaced this with this group name. So their group will be popular. So this information is publicly available. Based on this information, attackers or any persons see this information. Also, our organizational teams also get reports. If you are registered with these type of groups, they will report to you with the details of this incident happened. So the information is publicly available certain scenarios. If it is especially like this type of event, which is very easy to identify and try to report to the user and take responses. Okay, here is the methodology. Before going the methodology, what organizational requirements that you have to identify? How much is our capability and expertise level of users, that is must be identified. What are the requirements for a particular cases and simulation models that need to be prepared. Under preparation phase, you have to identify the requirements of each and every stages of analysis and tools, requirements of locations, expertise persons. These are need to be prepared. Apart from that, you should have a strong policies and frameworks respective to organization and national level policies. After that, you have to identify incidents. If any incident happen, what to identify. But who will report this incident happening? Somebody has to report it, or we have to identify by our teams. How they will report it? They will identify using our infrastructure details and logs of that infrastructure. Based on that, is there any behavioral changes? We have to identify it and it will be alerted. Based on that alert, we are going for detection phase. Under detection phase, you have to triage it. What is triage is, you have to ensure what is the level of priority and which one need to be reported and analyzed on the first itself. Why this is important? If there is a critical event, how you will solve that problem? So you have to solve that critical problem at first stage itself. Why? Because that is our business or any services depends on that. So you have to triage it compulsorily, because the organizations are big and number of events are increasing and we have a limited resource to resolve the issues. Based on this, you have to triage the events and identify which one need to be solved first. After that, incident is identified and triaged, and you have to go for analyzing the incident. How do we analyze the incident? You need a tools and techniques. Also, you need to gather logs information for completing the task. After analysis is complete, what to be done? In analysis part, you are finding a report where the vulnerabilities list will be provided and it will go for patching the report or at virtual patching if any device supporting it. After patching, under containment phase, next, the report which is came from analysis part you are taking it and patching the details, and you are stopping the servers which are vulnerable, and you are implementing it. After fixing, you are removing the malwares if any exist or any malicious content exists, you are removing it under eradication. In recovery phase, you are cleaning entire system if anything, and you are updating everything, and also reverting back the if any rules are pending. The rules like firewall rules. Usually when our systems are infected, the system's infection will be stopped for a particular time of within the network itself. Under network, if you stop it, it will be a separately contained, quarantined, or after quarantining, you are stopping the entire system. After quarantining, you are performing all these activities so that the systems and networks are not infected other than the respective systems which are reported. In recovery, you are rolling back the entire firewall rules to host the machines back inside of a actual network back. So the systems will be restored completely. Next, post-incident activity. Okay, incident is happened and you gather the information of how many attacks happened, what are the type of vulnerabilities attacked, what type of systems you got infected, based on that reports for each and every system, that patch requirements, and you are reporting these details based on the organizational policy. How much need to be disclosed to public, how much need to be disclosed to stakeholders. You have to prepare a matrix. Based on that matrix, you have to distribute to them advisories as well as requirement as per the national strategies. This is the actual incident handling process. Under incident handling process, the requirements are you have to maintain all the logs and SIM solution type tools where you can identify automatic gathering of information of is there any changes in the system. That is the primary requirement. After that, you need a team of groups where they will identify detections like SOC teams and analysts. Analysts also required. Why? Because it is a particular type of expertise where they can analyze systems separately, databases separately, and websites separately also. So you need these type of groups. In practice, what exactly happens in the organization? The end user is they don't know anything about analysis and incident handling processes, but they know only reporting mechanism to the SOC teams and what are the processes. If anything happens in the systems, you get alert and they will report to expert groups. How they will report to expert groups? You should have a communication medium. If you have a ticketing system, that is well and good. And if you have any messaging systems, mechanisms, internet processes or apps, and you can tell by phone also and mail. These are the communication medium you can share to the response teams. They will take over the entire incident processes and then they will perform the triaging, analyzing, and first before going to analysis, they have to ensure that the incident is exactly happened or not. That should be validated. If the validation is not done, that causes so much cost process for the group. If it is valid, it is fine. If it is invalid, it is a wasting of money or cost and time also. So you have to ensure that if there is an event, it should be validated before going to perform any other activity. And incident handling team take over the entire process and performs a particular case and gives the guidelines for doing containment, eradication, and recovery process. How to find the incident happened? So as per discussions, we found that there are infrastructure in our network and organization hosted at our locations. Network devices and other communication devices send the information about their health statuses. This is one of the program which tells our health status devices health statuses continuously to central monitoring service or SNMP solutions, where it gives the information of the CPU levels and other storage levels. If there is a aberrations or changes in the sudden changes, I have to say sudden changes in the network, this happens, then you have to say that there is an incident possibility high. This is one of the sign. Next, for those systems which are having antivirus softwares, they will tell that if there is a changes in the file system, it will give informations. Log analyzers. Why log analyzers required? Like SIM solutions, SIM solutions take all the log events into a particular central server, and it analyzes and correlates the logs to identify back is there any changes in the systems or any issue with the system. After these events happen, then you can say that there is an incident happened. Okay, and then system administrator sees a file name with unusual characters. This is very common in Drupal systems, old systems like FCK editor. We identified there is a file changes happening with a characters %00 space and JPG files. What exactly here happening is this case is a web shell case and particular exploit is found. Here in this scenario, the file is executing as a PHP, but attacker uploaded with the %00.jpg file. In this scenario, the %00 JPG file is not working and other portion is working fine. In Linux, it supports different file names directly, but in Windows, it is not much. Dollar is considered, but it is still temporary file. We have to ensure that your file systems are running fine and there is no files, extra files which are meant from you other than that. Executable, I have to say. The volume of potential signs of incidents is typically high in DDoS. In NIC, we have different solutions to stop DDoS attacks, and at our ISP level, like NKN is a provider, there we have another solution which stops DDoS directly. Without coming to organization, you have to stop DDoS type attacks. For DDoS type attacks, the volumetric of UDP or TCP traffic is very, very high. If you have a services to stop this one GBPS and these type of attacks, you have to consider there is an attack happening exactly. And origin of attacks is required to report to national level organizations. They will take actions in worldwide search details and they will share it to them. Deep specialized knowledge and extensive experience are necessary for proper and efficient analysis of incident related data. Here it is telling about expertise level of a user or a incident analyst. You have to maintain good expertise in persons who perform daily these type of routines so that they will identify and provide exact accurate informations based on the collected and analyzed logs. Web server log entries that shows the usage of vulnerability scanners. Nowadays, there are so many vulnerability scanners available in our particular world of open sources as well as commercial worlds. In particular open sources, there are specific tools for exploits, specific tools for vulnerability scanners also available. If there is any change in the logs and adding there is a threat agent. Usually threat agents are not masked, only small entry persons of hackers. What they do direct attack using a tool itself. if they are using that tool, there is a particular threat agent string where we can identify somebody is trying our scanners. It is very much easily possible. Announcement of new exploits. This is very common practice. If there is a CMS exploit is released, entire world of CMSs of the same vulnerability is hit by attackers. Why? Because there is a program called fingerprinting. Using those fingerprinting, the attackers perform these techniques and they will hit for a particular hit. Antivirus software alerts provides information about is there any malware attack happened on the systems. These are the main signs of incidents. Other than that, you can very much identify daily attacks and reports are sharing to all ministerial employees. Incident analysis here, the example is we found a website as earlier told somebody published a website got hacked. After this analysis, what we found is there is a SQL injection vulnerability with base 64 encoding. This is a base 64 encoded SQL injection vulnerability available in the website. After identification of this, it is found somebody uploaded a web shell also. So you found this incident, the site is vulnerable to SQL injection vulnerability. In this particular website, they haven't followed our guidelines to host a website in a one server itself. They hosted website as well as database server. What happens here is database servers have a capacity to execute operating system commands also if it is not properly hardened. The MySQL has a capacity to load and unload the entire database SQL query to a file also. So this causes issue. We have to harden production servers with proper hardening mechanisms provided by respective organizations, especially in terms of NIC, we have given database hardening guides, server hardening guides. Incident containment, earlier told you have to quarantine and stop the infections, and then you have to take a strategy what to clear the incidents. You have to delete the incident in eradication phase. All these together at once it can be performed. Recovery, you have to restore the entire firewall rules and update the antiviruses, restore and reinstall entire systems. Vulnerabilities also need to be patched. After this, you have to restore the entire thing actually. In today's world, our operating systems are good working and lower privileged, but antivirus softwares are running with high privileges. The attacks on antivirus software also happen. Most of the cases you may find there are malicious antiviruses also installed on the machines. When they go to any applications, they will say install your antivirus, it will work faster. You are clicking it and installing it as an antivirus, but it is actually a malware inside of it, having a full-fledged privileges to run on the machines. These things are very difficult to identify in incident response phase itself. Why? Because it may find malicious file, but it has a privilege of very high privileges in the operating system undetected. Only it is possible with forensic mechanisms very easily. Post-incident activity, as earlier told, you have to prepare a matrix where to be shared to whom, with the stakeholders, users, public, and national legal entities. This is the mechanism. You have to ensure this has to be followed as per your organizational policy and frameworks. Here comes the forensics. In forensics, what is our objective? Our objective is to report and identify entire series of events for the incident attacked by the attacker. This is the main aim. Also, you have to follow legal entities of the national as well as organizational policies. So here is the definition. the discipline that combines elements of law and computer science to collect and analyze data from computer systems, networks, and computer systems, networks, wireless communications, storage devices in a way that is admissible in court of law. How you will mention in the court of law? If you have to follow admissible in court of law, you should have a legal entities in your organizational, and also you have to get our tools and reports should be approved somehow. If the tools and data is not approved by the court of law, how you will produce them in the court of law? You have to follow an entity and rules, standards, where you can get the details what you collected. It should be admissible in court of law. Then only it is possible. Somebody disguised as another person and produced in the court of law, it will be very difficult to prove it the person is disguised or not. You have to ensure your logs are accurate, then only you can prove that. There is no way to miss the person or blame other persons. Okay, main goal here is, the goal is to present a plausible and believable chronicle of events to encourage a specific result while all along following relevant laws, practices and procedures. So here, indeed, it is telling you have to practice laws, practices of standard of laws also, as well as technical standards and processes and procedures inside of organizational. If you know everyone about auditing of systems, why we have to perform audit? To ensure you are following a code of law as well as these things. If anyone produces logs in a court of law, you have to ensure that these logs are up to the mark to producible inside of any courts. Here is actual process. First thing is you have to find the incident. It is found in identification. After identification of incident, what you have to do? You have to validate is it incident or not. And then you have to trace the incident. It is actual incident and it has to be important. Then seize and acquisition. I would say both seize and acquisition. Why it is performing seize and acquisition is, you have to contain the zone what you have to take it. In actual crime scenarios, you have to take each and every piece of electronic equipment. Even it is a doll. Nowadays, the dolls are having a capacity to communicate wirelessly. Even your bulbs also there. Those also considered for electronic evidence if possible. If they are CCTV cameras. CCTV cameras has a capacity of creating so much traffic. You have seen the incidents. CCTV cameras causes so much disruptions in USA. Everyone know about this one Donald Trump's event. At that time, it is attack all happened. Acquisitions. After seizing your equipment, you have to gather the data or imaging. That means you are replicating the data inside of it to store in our drives, and also you have to use those drives for analysis. It is highly recommended if you are copying the hard drive to another hard drive using write blockers. It is better practice. If you are using software write blockers, it may be slow, or sometimes the results you have to consider it. Is it actual result or not? This is only validation possible with the help of hashings at the time of performing the actions. Analysis. After extraction of acquisition data, you are analyzing entire evidences using tools. The tools are main source here. You should have a good tool to extract information and algorithms where you can extract image data softwares also. After analysis is complete, you have to report every process and what are the gathered information like chain of custody. Documentation should be done step by step and events also. You should not miss any of the devices or missing things. Okay, this is the actual process. One of this methodology is like this. Before performing anything, you have to be prepared. What are the requirements of incidents? For what are the incidents happens forensically? How much you do? How much is your capability? What data to be captured? How to store them? What are the documentation requirements for any of these systems? How you will identify this? These things you should have a case study of each and every incident happened previously. It becomes very good practice. Requirements future forecasting need to be done. How much is storage requirement if you are gathering a hard disk? How to store them in a systems? How to store them in a systems where you are? How to store them securely? If you have a mobile phone, what happens in a scenario? What if there is a mobile phone in your forensic team identified it? How to store them? It has a capacity to wipe out the entire data if you are connected to data network. You should have a capacity to stop that network, and also you should have a charger also. If the phone is switched off, what you do? You should have a password. You should put the data may be erased. How you will gather? These type of scenarios arise. After that, cease and acquiesce is the process. Here you have to identify it. After cease and acquiesce, you have to verify your data also. How to verify data? You should prepare everything to be hashed so that it won't be disturbed. After the hash complete, you have to analyze the entire data, prepare the report, and this is a cyclic process. How much is you are doing and how much based on the inputs, outputs, then again perform the same cycle of information to dig more and more data if possible. After that, entire file is prepared and it will be published to the court of law. After that, if the case is closed, you have to store the entire data and archive it. This phase is very critical also. You have to store them and archive it so that it will be used in future. Digital investigation process overview. Here we have to follow different principles. Evidence preservation is chain of custody. Under this, whatever the gathered information, you have to note down. The officer is responsible for all the evidences gathered and documented. And documentation should be performed at all levels. Even you take any piece of evidence, you have to note it down and it has to be tagged if possible, and you have to gather these type of evidences. And whatever evidence gathered, it should not destroy stop the privacy issues of any users also. If there is a evidence which is considered business information, critical business information, if you are gathering it, how to tackle it as per the national law, as per organizational policy, it will be a clash every time. So you have to ensure it should not be disturbed, and also perfect secrecy need to be maintained at all levels. Phases. Earlier told about all the phases, and here what to be done in each and every phase. Under preparation phase, you have to perform reconnaissance, equipment procurements, required tools and details, what to be configured, and legal requirements for our organization and entity to be tested as per the laws. Respond. In response phase, you are performing evidence preservations during initial validations, assessment of the incident, and what to be done, you have to plan it. Recognize, you have to identify it. Recognize means you are identifying, is there any incident reported publicly? You should have a capacity to identify it. Like social engineering tools, if you have, it will be very helpful. Acquisition phase. In this phase, you are going for imaging of collected seized equipments. Chain of custody, it should be maintained because you have collected the data and it should be noted under whose responsibility. Analyzing tools. The tools which are used for forensic imaging analysis, that will be considered effective, and there are tools list is available. I will tell you that. And the list of tools that need to be reported, and report preparation phase, required documents, whatever required documents, and testifying. Who will testify it? It is a big question. Somebody has to testify and approve it. It is happen and the report is accurate. Archiving the evidence. Your case and evidence preservation need to be kept in a secure way. It should not be disturbed, as well as it should not be stopped. If you have using a small phone, if the battery is gone, what to do? You should have a capacity to charge the batteries. These type of activities also required even in archiving. And here in archiving, you should have a issue with NFCs also. If you have a near field communication devices, you will get issues with that also. Here, missing portions of this is evidence handling forms. Earlier told about document evidences. In document evidences, you should have a evidence containers. If it is communicating outside, you should stop it for communicating outside. Or if you are performing a live analysis, you need to gather in live data itself. How much data you are able to extract at that time is good. Otherwise, you have to safeguard the data what is there on the drives or computers, laptops, anywhere. Camera earlier told other photographic equipment how to extract the information, those photographic requirements. Forensic tools have a capacity to retrieve those type of data also. Here under preparation phase, earlier told about how much we are prepared. That need to be answered multiple times. Why? Because the lab that we are having, if the end user have a storage capacity higher than yours, it may be a problem. Physical storage, I would say physical storage. If they are having a TBs of data, how you will store them and analyze them? It's a very challenging question. If you have a cloud network where you can put the entire image there and you can extract back and analyze back, that will provide you very good amount of information directly. If you have a subscription of like that, or you have a inbuilt house cloud storage or physical storage, that will help you more and more. Laws and policies and procedures has to be implemented and practiced by the individual who is going to perform the incident forensic analysis and forensic investigations. Maintaining those equipments. Here the challenging part is updating the software also. If you have a software that need to be upgraded and the end user have a more advanced software, how to tackle this? You should have a equipment to handle those such type of equipments also. Advanced equipments also should be analyzed. You should have a expertise personals and need to be kept under investigation processes so that they can give valuable feedbacks. The toolkit that is required for forensics are like this. Here, CDAC also have one of the good equipment forensic tools, CyberCheck Suite, which is available commercial, and software license of 2 months is also available for free usage. NCASE also is a very popular one and used by all the forensic teams. NCASE and FTK managers. These are commercial softwares. Helix is another tool for imaging, and Celebrite. Celebrite is a mobile forensic tool which have different type of pins to communicate and gather the information. With that, you have a SIM like data pins. You have a cables where you can collect Type C cable and normal type of cables. Very old Nokia cable also available with the forensic toolkits. You have a hardware and software both forensic toolkits which are required. Why? Because the end at the crime scene you may have a very low end model of the phone, or you may find an advanced model of the phone. You have to be ensure that you have a full suite of all list of type of cables and requirements, LAN cables. You should carry those. Oxygen forensic tool. It is also a mobile forensic tools, and different freeware versions also available. Using Kali also you can analyze the images also. So here scenario is you should gather the information, what are the types of tools and permissible in court of law. So best suited is commercial versions are well equipped and you are getting advanced softwares also. You have to ensure that your software is up to date and you are able to gather the information with a particular hardware tools. Here again for the chain of evidence you have to write down everything. Nowadays you can gather the information through um, software. Also you need to have a particular books where you can get all chain of custody is in there, and it has to be on paper if possible. Logbook you need to maintain, and you should have a proper bootable CD. If you are identifying it any system is corrupted, how you will recover the entire system? You have to image it byte to byte, bit to bit. And if you have a digital camera, there are different types of digital cameras. You have a video cameras also. You have a chip. How you will get that? If it is communicating to Bluetooth, how you will get that data? If it is communicating remotely, how you will get that data? Those are so many scenarios. How you will get network information and all others. In the cross-line table also required to copy fast from one hard disk to another hard disk if required. Multi-purpose mechanical tool set. This usage is you have to open hard disk and to get the data. If you don't have a screwdriver or during an incident, what you do? You have to it may damage the systems. So you have to ensure all types of kits are available with you. Anti-static covers. Anti-static covers helps you not to erase any data inside of phones and all this, and it also supports a certain type of electricity also. It is not giving you permission to enter inside of a cover itself. Air bubbled PVC covers. This is also good for not stopping damages. Labels. Labels also required to ensure chain of custody and marking them under which investigation it has to be. So you are giving a particular number for each and every evidences also. In normal world, there are two types of evidences, especially in cyber forensics. If you have a hard disk, what it does, it is resides on the system on the hard disk itself. Any data is residing in the hard disk. If it is executing, where it goes? In the RAM. It is a non-volatile. When you reboot the entire system, it's wiped out. So this is called non-volatile. If it is wiped out, it is non-volatile. It only available in the live forensics. If the system is on, you have to gather the memory dump. If you are analyzing any malware, it is unpacked and kept unencrypted in the RAM. Then only you can gather what is exactly it is executing. So live forensics also plays a very important role, and in terms of malware analysis as well as in terms of incident analysis. So volatile memory that loses its contents if power is turned off. Data stored in RAM, it is called volatile memory. Non-volatile memory, no changes contents even if power is turned off. Like a hard disk or floppy disk. Here one more slide on this. Volatile data can disappear quickly, easily, asynchronously, automatically. It is going out. Does not survive a reboot or power cycle. As earlier told, you are restarting, it is not coming back. Where it is physical memory which contains processes, connections, credentials which are kept in the main memory, clear text passwords. This is a very critical process. The websites which are running certain times put the passwords inside of a memory itself. If you use Winx tool inside of your machine itself, you can see how many passwords and clear text data is available. You can properly see entire clear text strings. Even use sysinternals, you can see the processes which are executing. You can see the strings directly. Especially in WannaCry scenario of malware analysis, it is found. When they done the analysis of RAM, it is found that the keys for decryption keys required for decrypting the files are available in RAM files itself. Network traffic. Network traffic actually when you are connecting outside of internet outside in the internet, you will get the full details of IP details, everything. If you restart the entire machine, it may go down. And non-volatile data usually does not appear quickly. Why? Because it requires even you do reboot, it survives. Discs, CDs, DVDs, once written, you can see them. In USB drives, if you done USB forensics or hard disk forensics, if the data is not overwritten, it can be recoverable if you are not secure wiping it. So these two things are playing very, very critical roles. Volatile data may have a usernames and passwords, which gives very critical evidence. If the system is encrypted, if you are gathering password at that time, you can restart the entire machine. Even restarting happens, you can able to log into the systems. Okay. How much is our preparation stage? In this preparation stage, what type of crime scenarios you may encounter? At that time, you may have seen these type of devices, electronic evidences. You may have find out the differences like Android mobiles, iPhone mobiles, Symbian OSs, Nokia OSs, and then Linux machines, Mac OS, Chromium books, and Windows 10 and different series of Windows softwares. How you will support all these? How much is a forensic tool is supporting? You should have a good forensic tool to load all these type of things also. Apart from this, you may have evidence of electronic equipment which are directly communicating using a Java softwares. Even a dolls, I told earlier, even a dolls have a capacity to communicate to Wi-Fi devices, real-time communication systems. Here we are going to perform disk forensics. Under disk forensics, you are gathering information like from the hard disk. In the hard disk, you have a data. What happens if you directly put the hard disk to a system? It changes the files. If the file changes, it can be allowed in the court of law because the timestamp that is changed in the system may not shows the exact date and time. So it is not permissible in the court of law if it is tampered. You have to go for a proper tool like a write blocker. What does write blocker do? Write blockers does not allow writing to a hard disk. It will copy the data but not allowing writing to the hard disk. preventing write of data to suspected original hard disk, other popular data storage media. It also ensures the integrity of the suspected original hard disk. Here there are two scenarios: software write blockers, hardware write blockers. Hardware write blockers is very easy. You are putting a cable and you are writing it. In software write blockers, you are using a bootable CD to write it. It may take time. In hardware write blockers, it is faster usually. It supports fasting copying. Policies and evidences. You should have a chain of custody properly to store all the evidences what are gathered. And you should have a facility for using these things, accessing acceptable use policies in the lab environment. In the preparation stage itself, you should have a plan what to be done if the evidence is disk forensic came. Its better solution is analyze an image, cloned image. Would say cloned image. You are cloning using a write blocker, then you are using it. Instead of analyzing the original evidence, use only cloned image. So it is very easy, and even it is tampered, you can clone it from the original image. But you need to have hardware to clone the image. If you are using image software, it will be has to be storage. Under disk forensics, you have one more concept called slack space. What is slack space? Here, if you see the sketch marks here, the size of the file is inside of a cylinder or cluster is like this. It is occupying only 256 bytes of 512 byte sector 2. The remaining space is empty in a cluster. What does this mean? This is an empty space. What is empty space? Usually based on the operating system, it may be zeros and ones. If an attacker or any person wants to hide information, he can hide the information in this slack space also. This is the slack space. Why slack space is very important is, while copying a data from one hard disk to another hard disk, if you are doing a logical copy, slack space may be missed. In physical copy, you are copying the entire bit to bit data from one hard disk to another hard disk or image. That will be possible. But in logical copy, only active directories and file contents will be copied. So here main difference is this. In forensically, if you are performing it, physical copy is highly recommended, but it is a trade-off. If you have a less time, how much you will copy? If your files contain only 200 GB and you are copying TB of hard drive, it takes so much time. You have to ensure based on your time factors also. Here again about a cloning of image. Always do clone of image and then analyze it. It is very easy, and you are giving a very difficult very easily. Even you tamper it, it won't be happening any problem. Prevent any inadvertent alteration of original evidence during examination is possible if you are performing using cloned image only. How you perform imaging? The write blocker helps you not allowing data to copy from one location, but you need a software how to do this one. Using a write blocker, you are allowing flow of data, but using this software, you can do imaging directly. This is a CDAC tool, TrueBack, and FTK Imager also there. This is also a free image software. Usually commercial softwares also available for imaging. Response phase. Here you are doing a seize and acquisition process, seize process. You have to validate the incident, assess the damage, is it a true incident or not? And then you are coordinating with the team to gather any incident happened, is there any victim or accused? These details also you need to gather. If any passwords of the systems or phones are available, you need to gather that also. Why? Because if the phones are encrypted or not breakable, how you will perform forensic analysis? So you need to have these details to ensure the details are available and you are able to log in and check it. Main case is you have to validate the IP address also. If there is a spoofing network available inside of an organization, how you will ensure is it a spoof or not? You have to ensure this also. If you don't know about spoofing much, spoofing is a process where you are disguising as another IP address and sending the data. It is like you have a two IP addresses within the network and you are receiving, the end user thinks that only one IP address is getting and you are sending the data to malicious user. This is spoofing. This is IP spoofing. So you have to ensure proper IP address is there and you are not allowing any spoofing. Network topology also matters. If you are allowed for over other networks also, the impact of the checking changes to other networks also. It is highly recommended to survey the location before going to any conclusions, and it will give more information. What are their infrastructure, what are the hardwares installed and infrastructure requirement, any remote access available. This is like assessing and accessing the information from outside also. Analysis, you are checking and keeping them. Transfer the computer systems to a secure location. This is also very much required. You are seizing the entire crime scenario and taking the computer systems. If there is an issue with the power surge or anything, you should be careful to store them securely and save them. Acquiring assets. After acquiring assets, what are the types of assets you may need to maintain in the evidence or which are to be side apart? Like host-based assets. What are the assets like computer systems and these? Removable assets. Removable media are like USB pen drives or any hard disks. Mobile assets. There are mobile phones and other parts like you have a tokens. Tokens have encryption keys. That is also need to be maintained if anything available. Integrity of the systems. Integrity means if any damage to the system happens, its integrity is lost. You should maintain proper integrity and there should not be any damage to the data inside of it. And there should not be any communications after that seize happened. If any changes happening to the phone, you have to note it down at that time itself. You have to store them in a proper process and then package it and send to the secure location. There are multiple types of acquisition of disk forensics and network forensics. There are multiple tools available, open source also available to image it. These are some of the available frameworks. In Windows, I told earlier, FTK and NKSS are there. This is the two commands. By this also you can perform it locally. And then processes, memory analysis can be done with the Volatility framework. Here, confirmatory analysis. Why we are doing forensics, you have to have a goal. The incident happened and it is analyzed and it has to be ensured that there is a particular event happened The goal motive should be perfect. For that motive, you are doing it. Confirm or refute allegations of suspicious activities that need to be ensured this is happened. You have to note down series of events now. Initial survey of collected data, you have to note it down. It is available in chain of custody already. And from that extraction, you are analyzing them. What data is extracted from those? You have to extract only relevant information so that it is easy and concise to explain. Then you are examining the timeline format to give the representations of incidents happened and events. Earlier told about multiple operating systems. Operating systems have different types of file formats. Extension ext to T2, T3, and FAT NTFS. These all are supported in Linux machines, but in Windows, you are only supporting FAT32 NTFS. But if you go for a Mac OS format, it directly supports only NTFS. It may not allow, it directly supports FAT32 very easily, but other formats are sometimes readable, not allowed. But in forensic tools, it is very easily, it has to support all these type of formats. It will give full types of parsing mechanisms. And how you will perform mobile forensics analysis. There are commercial tools which gives the information of contact details, messages which are residing in the phone. And then you can very much, if you have a government organization in hand, they will test against your each and every phone number details. And then you can verify that these are the phone numbers which are used during the crime scene. And it will be produced for a court of law or to police custody to verify back. Here, earlier told about construction of events is a main process of analysis in forensics. You are how you are maintaining them. An orderly list of changes on the device. You have to note it down. What are the changes happened during this time also? What was changed and when? Here, there are events or messages, if anything, are available during the particular timeline. You have to verify it and note it down. Is there any changes happening to your file systems? There are file systems which are giving options like modified date, accessed date, created and changed dates also. So you have to note down what are the timelines of each and every file if possible during the time. Here, these are the questions which are need to be answered while performing it. What are you looking for? That is given from goal. How you will recognize it when you find it. Your goal tells that what are your requirements. Based on that incident, you have to ensure that the relevancy of the recognized items in the forensic softwares, the details of the files, what trials, images, all these need to be verified. In a forensic tools, if a file is removed or normally deleted, possibly it is recoverable if it is not overwritten. All forensic tools support this part. Everyone know about restoring of images if it is lost in the pen drives. It is open source softwares also available to restore this. This is the same way the forensic tool have more enhanced capacity to reconstruct the events also with the help of images. Apart from that, the forensic tool person has an expertise that anti-forensics also. If forensically something happened, the attackers are always smart to evade this process. They use anti-forensic techniques. They use encrypting the data, wiping out the data, tools delete the RAM content before going there, and they will boot from a pen drive, because if there is no hard disk, no evidence collected. Even if it is a RAM, data is lost. Steganography. Steganography tells that storing of a content or hiding information inside of an image. in an image, there are particular bytes where you can store the information which is not directly available. Even if the image is displayed, the data is inside of an image itself. It is called steganography. Steganography images are very useful for communication secretly. Like open data environment, you are storing the data in front of the file itself, but it is not visible. This is also possible, readable by the forensic tools. Another way of storing of information and hiding information is you are encrypt the entire disks, and the latest technologies of virtualization allows storing of information or opening the operating systems inside of the operating systems like VirtualBox, VMware's Hyper-Vs. In Windows 10, there is a concept called subsystem. Using subsystem, we can very much run our Linux machines directly, which allows running of operating system commands on the Windows 10 itself. Each process creates a one task manager process directly. So it is hidden inside of an operating system. If you are encrypting that data again, the entire process is encrypted. After that entire process is completed, how you will reporting them to any person? You have to prepare a technical report as well as some summary reports and construction of event reports in a timelined fashion. Using this report, it can be published in the law enforcement groups and legal personnel. You have to tell them all the event details one by one so that they will understand the event this is happened. It has to be concise and clear. Even if it's too much technical information, it may not be understood by full law enforcement personnel. So you have to explain each and every event and details of the technical event and impact of the event happened. After completion of this, you have to archive the entire details. So you should have a good lock room. If it should not be tampered also. If it is tampered in near future, if anyone complained about that, you may not be in a position to get back the details. Okay, I hope I completed the presentation. Have any queries, please ask me. Any queries?
Participants, if you have any queries, you may write into the chat box, please.
If you have any query on this, you may also send me a mail. I share it to you.
Yeah, Kashi has shared his email ID over the chat to all of you. You may write into Kashi regarding any queries you have in future also. Kashi will be happy to help you out there.
Yes, sir. The top best free forensic toolkits is the question came.
Okay.
Autopsy is the one of the best tool for forensic toolkits, but I recommend commercial tools and CDAC tools for this. In forensic and software, there are one challenging part is you should have an update. If you are going with the open source softwares, the softwares may work fine until you got a good support for support from open source groups. Till that time, you are fine. After that, the attackers may improve their skills based on the level of their forensic tools. They may try to avoid it. You should have a capability to find that resource using that open source again back. So you have to ensure your forensic tools should support all types of major softwares and old softwares also. We recommend good tools which are currently available with a good support. That is the recommendation. I hope it's understood, sir.
Thank you very much, Kashi. If there are no more questions available at your box.
Okay. Thank you, Sunil, sir.
uh,
Thank you, Anupam, sir.
Okay, we may end this session here. Thank you very much, Kashi.